Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to this episode of Totum Live. My name is AJ Bory. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Totum by TIFIN, and we're delighted to have everyone join us here today. This afternoon, we'll be showcasing how the combination of Totum and CircleBlack helps advisors drive fact-based financial wellness. Today's presenters are Sarah Rasmuss, the Chief Product Officer at CircleBlack, and Larry Shumbres, Co-founder and Chief Revenue Officer here at Totum. We'll be covering a quick overview of both CircleBlack and Totum. Then Sarah and Larry will take us through a joint demonstration and use cases of how our two platforms are integrated. As a quick note, we have a Q&A box that you can find at the bottom footer of your screen. So please feel free to ask questions along the way. And in addition, we'll have a dedicated question and answer section at the end of the webinar. With that, I would like to hand the presentation over to Sarah to begin. Sarah?
Thanks, AJ. It's great to be here with everyone today. As we embark on this conversation, I thought it would be helpful to speak a few minutes on what exactly CircleBlack is. So on the next slide, we have a view of the CircleBlack Unified Seamless Wealth Management Platform. And it's really a combination of many things. Our technology, and one aspect here that we're representing that provides the advisor dashboard and a view into all of the amazing data for performance reporting, rebalancing, all of the core capabilities that you would expect, plus an amazing model marketplace that supports your investment management styles in a variety of ways to make your day more efficient. But at the core of the CircleBlack system is this middle component, which is the multi-custodial feeds. So from a data perspective, we are not only multi-custodial, but we also source data from many different feeds. Things like Yodlee outside account aggregation, as well as feeds from providers that you might not expect. This is critically important because as an advisor, you need to have a full view into your investors' financial landscape. And this rich data landscape provides that for you and for your investors. Then on the right, all of this is augmented by some really impressive integrations. And we offer a best of breed open integrations approach that augments the core CircleBlack capabilities with key components like CRM, financial planning, deeper rebalancing and trading capabilities, and of course, risk analytics like Totum. We think it's critically important to bring all of these tools together for advisors so that you don't have to think about each integration, each data source, or really your advisor experience. With the partners and the data sources that we provide, you can just click and connect. And CircleBlack will seamlessly share data back and forth, saving you time, eliminating errors, and logically connecting all of the dots so that you have more time for prospecting, growing your client base, and making those deeper relationships with existing clients. One thing I would also highlight is that CircleBlack is not a TAMP, and we have no desire to be a TAMP. We have lots of TAMPs as clients on our platform. We have custodians, aggregators, RIAs, custodians. Really the core of our business is serving advisors and RIAs. And in addition, the final thing that I'll highlight in terms of what the CircleBlack platform offers is that in serving advisors, we recognize how critically important it is for you to have a top-tier investor experience. So included in all of this landscape is an investor experience that I think you will find second to none. It's a really rich investor web experience, along with native apps for both iOS and Android. And of course, all of that can be white labeled for your firm. It's really a tremendous representation of the value that you bring to your clients. If that summarizes what the CircleBlack platform is, I'd also like to highlight a few areas that we really excel. You'll hear many of these themes from other providers in the industry. CircleBlack uniquely brings them all together. So you will not find better integrations, a better financial wellness engine, or user experiences with other providers in the industry. And as we think about the integrations, and particularly when we get into the demo, I invite you to look at our click and connect technology and the deep integration that we have with partners like Totum. As we look at the financial wellness engine, this is targeted both at advisors and investors, helping them focus on their next best step. And finally, and again, as we get into the demo, I encourage you to take a close look at the user experience. So we have invested in research in both quantitative and qualitative research components. And we work closely with our users to gauge their satisfaction, identify areas to improve upon, deliver on those improvements. And what we find is that our user satisfaction scores are generally 22% higher than others in the industry. If you think about the time that as an advisor you spend in your tool set, making it an environment that is easy to use, simple to use, and that you enjoy working in is critically important, and then also for your investors. So you won't find a better user experience outside of CircleBlack. With respect to the next couple of slides, just wanted to make sure that we had some visuals on some of those differentiators. So here we're taking a look at the CircleBlack integrations page, and this is what we call our Roku of wealth management, where it really is like the simple streaming services where instead of an all-in-one where you're locked in like with a cable provider, you are able to very specifically pick the integrations that you want, click and connect, and access partners and the great tools like Totum offers. On the next slide, just have a highlight of the advisor dashboard and the great user experience. And then on the next slide, we're illustrating our investor experience. And two, wanted to illustrate those apps, again, available for Android and iOS with notifications built in. And finally, last view I believe we have is on the model marketplace. So again, CircleBlack, a unified, seamless wealth management platform that gives you a tremendous amount of value in a really easy to use way. And those are the slides that illustrate what the CircleBlack platform is, and we'll take a look in more detail in the demo here in a minute.
Great. Hi, this is Larry Shumbres. I'm the co-founder and Chief Revenue Officer here at Totum by TIFIN. Just give you a high-level overview of Totum by TIFIN, who we are and where we're going, and what we're the frictions that we're trying to solve for financial advisors when it comes to risk tolerance. If you're not familiar with TIFIN, TIFIN is a world-class organization that is set to reduce the frictions in the financial technology industry, wealth management, and asset management industry by offering powerful products and solutions for financial advisors through AI, machine learning, and data mining. If you recently, one of our rounds, Series B round that we launched back in April, we were backed by some of the biggest names in the industry, such as JP Morgan Chase, Broadridge, and Morningstar. As I mentioned, Totum is set to reduce the frictions in the financial industry, especially in the risk tolerance space. And two things that we found with financial advisors is they're using risk tolerance questionnaires for prospecting and growing their book of business. And the second and more important aspect of the tool is to check that compliance box, whether it's you looking at the FINRA suitability 2111 rule or the SEC, the newer SEC best interest rule, best interest regulation rule around Section 2 and Section 5. And what we found last year is there were over 3,900 cases filed against financial advisors, and the average cost alone just to file when you are audited and they do find a violation is $2,200. More importantly, when you get into an actual audit, it could cost you upwards of $200,000 to $400,000 during that process, whether you're going through that with FINRA or the SEC. So what we're trying to do with Totum for financial advisors is protect them and really use Totum as that insurance policy and protection, as well as align their clients' risk tolerance with the right portfolios. In the industry, the one thing that we found is that all the risk tolerance tools were only focused on one aspect of risk management or risk metrics, and that was psychological preferences. And the problem we found with psychological preferences is that they change all the time, You could take a questionnaire in the morning, the sun could be out, you could be having a great day, the markets could be up, and you could score higher or come out more aggressive. You could take that same questionnaire in the afternoon, it could be raining out, you could be having a bad day, the markets could be down, you could score lower or come out more conservative. So to score a risk tolerance questionnaire only on psychological preferences and try to match it to a portfolio really is inaccurate, if not impossible. So we narrowed it down and looked at all the risk metrics and narrowed it down to risk capacity. Basically, just looking at the definition of risk tolerance, it's your willingness and ability to take risk. So risk preference is your willingness, risk capacity is your ability to take risk. So you'll see here on our bar chart, a score from 1 to 99, less risk to more risk. We're still scoring the risk preference to show the investor how much risk they're willing to take, but then separately showing the risk capacity to show that investor how much risk they should or should not take based on their life situation or their ability to take risk. And then finally, we score the portfolio with a different algorithm. The whole idea is that portfolio should fall in between the two risk scores to have a better conversation and be more in line with their financial goals. And then last, we also found that with risk tolerance tools, that the client experience is really poor. They're asking redundant questions around the markets that aren't really understandable by your typical investor. So what we tried to set out to do is ask simple, relatable questions around their life situation, and then pull in more data on the back end using data mining and machine learning to come up with a more accurate score for the risk tolerance outcome.
Great. And before we get into the joint demo, it looks like we have a question from the crowd. This one is pointed towards Sarah. Does CircleBlack have a vault integration to share financial planning documents with clients?
Yes. So we have a client document vault functionality, and we have some great tools around it in terms of automatically sourcing documents to clients, automatically sending reports, populating financial plans, but also some really interesting criteria tagging. So we'll walk through it in the demo, but if you want to share a flyer on Totum risk and their smart approach to assessing and identifying and managing risk, the CircleBlack platform gives you the tools to tag clients within a specific demographic, geographic area, investment exposure, and really gives you some tools for some great personalization at scale. All right. AJ, does that sound like a good lead in for the demo, or do we have any other questions?
I think so. That's it for now.
Excellent. And AJ, I think you will need to stop sharing before I can.
There we go.
And really appreciate the questions coming in from the audience. That always does make it a much more interesting and interactive conversation and gets exactly to what you want to hear. So please do keep those coming. All right, I'm excited to share with you our CircleBlack product. And just to be clear, I am showing our production environment. So we have a demo firm with anonymized data in production, but this is existing functionality. There's no mock-ups or anything behind this. This is the first dashboard of the CircleBlack advisor experience. And I will just share that in general, advisors really love this experience. Oftentimes, the first time people see it, they, wow, that's a lot of information. And there is a high level of information density on this page. And we did that purposefully because as advisors were engaging with our most recent redesign of the experience, they said, I love this, but I want more. This is my main centered dashboard for managing my day-to-day activities, and I want more information on this experience. And so we worked with them to bring more tiles of information onto the page, and that gives you the experience that you see. And you can see that it's quite easy. In this example, I'm Amy Advisor. If a client calls and I need to jump into their record, I can do so right here in the household experience. But also, if I'm maybe not a financial planning advisor, the lead advisor on the relationship, and I'm somebody who spends more time in trading or rebalancing or investing, I have the ability to adjust all of this content. And so it's really straightforward to, if the default dashboard isn't exactly what you want it to be, change the layout so that all of the features and functionality that you use the most on a day-by-day basis are exactly where you want them to be in the order that you want them to be. For any of my technology friends on the call, I will just also call out that each of these tiles or modules are all API driven. So it's a really clean technology stack. It's the most modern technology stack I have ever worked in. It's very easy to update, it's very high quality, and it really delivers a great experience for our clients. I will also share, I want to start on the integrations page. So your firm determines the universe of integrations that are available here. This view is probably more for an aggregator or a custodian. You can see we've got multiple CRMs up here for Redtail, Wealthbox, Salesforce, et cetera, which for a large firm that might make great sense, and you want to make those all available to your advisors. If as an advisor you want to set your universe of integrations, you get to determine that. You might say, I've got MoneyGuide, I've got Totum, and I've got Redtail, and anybody who joins your firm will have the ability to view these, and we have a very easy click and connect experience. So in this example, because I'm accessing Totum through the integrations page, you get that broader point of view where I can then choose if I want to go into prospects or clients, but also know that as we're in different points in the experiences, we also have deeper integrations where we'll provide a contextual SSO exactly into the client record that you want to work on. But this integrations experience, this click and connect experience really is unique in the industry and something that we're very proud of. Coming back to the main advisor dashboard experience, did also want to highlight the multi-custodial nature of this, and not just multi-custodial, but multi-data source. You know, again, pulling in from all of the different institutions, Yodlee outside accounts, all of the different feeds that we pull in to give you and your investors a full view into their financial landscape. I'm going to go through to the various areas of our platform. Outside of the dashboard, we also have models. And this is one of the fastest growing components of the CircleBlack offering. So advisors love this model marketplace and the model management tools. And I would highlight here for our third-party model marketplace, we have 3 of the top 5 asset managers in the world participating. This as well can be as open or as captive as you like. So if you have a specific universe that you want to make available, you can certainly do that. I would also highlight again that we are not a TAMP. We support TAMPs and others in that space. But if you're a fan of the BlackRock models, for example, we pull in all of their research so you can readily take a look at what's available. If you use this information, want to share it back with your investors, we have tools to do that. And I also want to highlight the Totum risk score right here. So this is another example of a deeper integration that CircleBlack offers. So we're able to send the model information and pull back that risk score. So as you're looking to assign and assess models to your investors, you've got that information right at your fingertips. This is our My Model section, where advisors have the ability to put together their own models based on securities. You can also do sleeves, models with models. You can pull in third parties, your own models. And again, we always have that Totum risk score right here. And again, this really gives you that ability to tailor the experience that you want to offer from an investment management perspective to your end investors. And then finally, in the model space, I will just touch base. We also have the ability to rebalance all of those accounts as well. We have integrations with all the major custodians, and of course, larger firms like to use Flyer FT for their order management. In the reporting section of the CircleBlack experience, I would just share it's all of the reports that you would expect with all of the details and specifications that you would like. You can run those on households, accounts, groups. There's really detailed configuration for each one of those. And of course, they're also shareable with the client as well. So reporting to support that multi-data landscape, multi-data feed, and really presented in a simplified, attractive way that you can manage with your clients in quarterly meetings, face-to-face meetings, and via our investor mobile experience. Speaking of the investor experience, I just want to spend a little bit more time in this Engage section. And so this allows you to interact with any of the CRM partners that you have on the system, but as well as documents that you might choose to make available to your investors. So as an advisor, if you activate CircleBlack and Totum, and you, for instance, say, I'd love to promote this more consistently with my users, my investors, you have the ability to configure very specific share settings. And what I'll highlight over here is you can do that on an investor by investor perspective. So perhaps you wrapped up around of quarterly meetings and you want to send it to the 10 investors that you talked to this quarter in more depth. But then you also have the ability to say, I want to share this Totum promotional piece, this Totum piece of collateral based on where they're invested, what securities they have, portfolio values, and you can also create parameters. And so again, from a document vault and sharing perspective, this is a really rich environment for you as an advisor to, again, provide that personalization at scale. One of the other components that we touched on in the slides is the concept of the financial wellness engine. And I want to highlight here in the upper right a couple components that drive that. First, I'll start with the tasks in the very far upper right here. So we pull these in and source these from a variety of our partners. So these come through from a CRM perspective, from a compliance perspective, working with RIA in a box, for example. But notice here in my tasks, perhaps I just came out of my quarterly planning conversations with some clients, and Larry Kramer here has his risk a little bit misadjusted. And I want to rerun that risk proposal with Totum and then share that information with him. I've put that in my CRM, and we're now, from a CircleBlack platform perspective, reminding you as an advisor that this is activity that you wanted to take on behalf of this account. So we pull those in from a variety of sources, and you have the ability to configure those as well. Then we also have the proprietary wealth alerts technology. And this gets a little bit more sophisticated in looking at the specific behavior of the individual investors on the platform. And so what we're able to do with this is take a look at things like rebalancing, aggregation, but also risk too high or risk too low as you set it with your various accounts. And this is just a great prompt for an advisor who often has so much that they're working to manage across their book of business. You know, if an advisor comes in the morning and is looking at where should I focus my time, these wealth alerts give them, you know, exactly the right kind of information to drive into that in more detail. So perhaps, you know, we were looking at Larry Kramer and wanting to rerun his risk because his target has much higher risk assessment from Totum than what his actual is. And I have the ability as the advisor to go directly into that household record and take a look at that experience. I do want to go deeper on the household management pieces, but before I did that, I also wanted to share a quick look into the CircleBlack investor experience, because this experience, again, is so key to the interaction that you know, advisors have with their investors, certainly the face-to-face, certainly the phone calls, but always with digital playing a role in there as well. This is the web responsive version of the CircleBlack investor experience. You can see it has all the information that you would expect, the total value of the account, balance, performance changes. And I would highlight here too, we're pulling in the risk management information from Totum and displaying it to the end investor. Of course, this is all configurable, but another great example of some of the deeper integrations that the CircleBlack platform offers, and a great representation of your value to your customers, both in terms of the risk that you're helping them identify and manage in a really proactive way. We pull in information from other partners as well. You can see we've got the Money Guide financial planning experience here. And then also those wealth alerts that we were taking a look at on the advisor side are also available on the investor side. And again, this is entirely configurable by you, the advisor, in terms of what you want to make available to your end investors. But it's another great tool for providing some of that hyper-personalization at scale. Let's see, based on the question that we had earlier too, I would also just highlight some great deep functionality within the CircleBlack investor experience with performance, breakdowns, being able to manage groups, add outside assets, again, everything that you would expect, as well as a document vault. And so this document vault is a collection of things within our demo environment. So you can see there's some articles that we've shared. These represent some regular reports. So if you want to choose to send a weekly or a quarterly or a monthly report to your end investors, you can schedule that to just run. And here's an example I have of a financial plan in my investor document vault that I've shared and that I can manage with her via our partner money guide. And let me pause there before I go back and dig into the CircleBlack experience. Any other questions on the investor side? I don't see any coming through the chat, but please feel free to take advantage of that if anything comes to mind. Coming back to the CircleBlack experience, I did want to highlight in a little bit more depth the ability, the richness of the information that you as an advisor have when you're working with a particular household or client. And so in this record, I'm taking a look at Larry Kramer. He's one of Amy's largest clients with a little over $5 million in his account. And we looked at the click and connect experience from CircleBlack's Roku-like screen, but then also want to highlight that our standard integrations have bidirectional data sharing from the CircleBlack platform to the partner platform, as well as pulling in information from the partner platform into CircleBlack, as well as this contextual SSO that takes you right into the record and lets you go deeper on that partner experience. And that's across our partner experience. And it really is broader and deeper than anything else in the industry. Bidirectional data sharing, contextual SSO, iframe experience, as well as you've heard me call out, I think this will be the third or fourth point about pulling in the totem risk metric directly into the point of importance in the advisor's user experience. So we do this in the model marketplace. We do this with the models that advisors use, advisors put together. We do this on the investor experience. And then we also do that here in the specific household account risk experience, where we're saying on your average day, if Larry's just calling to inquire about something, you want the risk metric here, but you might not be going deep into it. We make sure that it's presented in a really seamless and easy way. That said, in the scenario we've just been chatting through here, you maybe just had a conversation with Larry at his quarterly review and said, look, your actual risk looks a little bit lower than what your target risk is. And so you've decided that you want to run another report within the Totem experience and go deeper into that conversation with Larry. This is a great example of CircleBlack's, again, contextual SSO. So you're not landing in Totem and you have to navigate to the right experience. You're going directly into Larry's record, and you're still iframed within the CircleBlack experience. So as you go through the questionnaire and the proposal and the recommendation, you've got all of the great strengths of Totem readily available at your fingertips and deeply integrated into the CircleBlack experience to ease having that conversation with your end investor. And that really wraps the CircleBlack aspect of the demonstration that I wanted to share. I don't know if anybody who's better at talking about the Totem experience than Larry, so I was going to hand it over to Larry at this point to go through that in more detail.
Great, thank you. And I'm very excited to do this webinar. It's been a number of years since we've done a webinar with CircleBlack. And the reason why I bring that up is they were our first integration. And the first integration was an SSO when we both started a number of years ago. So it's very exciting to go through the product with CircleBlack here today. Hopefully everyone can see my screen here. The integration is seamless. It's a great single sign-on, sharing data, pulling data back and forth. It's all right here in one dashboard. The one thing I love is I could drill into a client. I just click on the risk score. It'll drive me right into Totem. From here, I could go into prospects or clients, and then I could go back to the dashboard within CircleBlack and see the same information. Anytime I update a questionnaire or an account within Totum, it's automatically updated back in CircleBlack in the dashboard. So it's just a nice seamless integration to work with your client through any of those workflows or any processes or meetings that you're having on a daily basis. One thing I mentioned within Totum here, there's two real main reasons why advisors use the risk tolerance solutions. One, again, is growing your book of business and working with prospects. And the second is checking that compliance box. So the great thing about the integration with CircleBlack is if I just go into my client page, I already have all my clients listed here, right? I don't have to go in and hit any integration or do any downloads or uploads or do any manual process. Automatically upload it here. I can see a list of all my clients. I can just go right into Jen Banks, see her overall portfolio, see any individual accounts, and work through that process, as well as look at some charts and analytics. So it's just a great, nice, seamless integration. In today's age, it should be this way, right? In the past, or even with some other integrations, you're logging out, you're logging back in, and the data is not flowing back and forth, and sometimes the numbers are off. In this integration, single sign-on with CircleBlack, it's just nice and seamless. One thing I like to walk through is prospecting, because that's one thing that a lot of advisors like to focus on to grow their book of business. And an easy way to prospect is, once you have and you're working with that investor, you can add other prospects here by just typing in their first name, last name, and email address, or uploading a file. And then if that prospect is in CircleBlack, it'll show up here as well. And then if I want to send out the questionnaire, I could simply send the invite here. And I could also add my own custom questions to the questionnaire. Again, we keep it short and simple and easy for the client experience, but very robust and compliant on the back end. But we also found out that advisors may want to find out more from a client or prospect, so they could add their own custom questions here. Now, we don't score them, but again, it's more information for you to learn about that client or prospect. We also make it easy to send out the questionnaire to the prospect. Just easily hit send, it'll automatically send them the email. You can copy the link or take the questionnaire with the prospect. I'll go into the mobile questionnaire just to give you an idea how simple and easy it is. If I hit take questionnaire, it does work on the PC or the mobile device. Again, we're trying to keep that client experience really easy and relatable, instead of asking questions that are market related. So age, income, fact-based, human capital factors that are important to people, zip code where they live, size of their family, number of dependents. We break out the dependents because there's tax breaks for that. Also, anyone that's living with you full time, there's tax breaks for that. More importantly, if you have kids, they're not free, right? They do impact your investments. And then really the core of it is your annual income, annual expenses, net worth, consistency of income, investable amount or invested amount, duration, job sector that they work in, and then how much risk how much they're willing to lose over 12 months for future gains. Sectors are important. If they're retired, they could select retire to move on, but more importantly, if they're in a sector that's tied to the top 3 sectors in that zip code, that could impact their job, their income, and expenses over a 12-month time frame, depending on if they're in Houston and they work in energy goes out of favor, they could lose their increase in pay bonus or even lose their job. So again, sectors are important when it comes to zip code and where they live. So as you can see, it's simple and sweet and easy for the prospect or client to take. And then the other factor in here that we like is if you have a client, not a prospect, but if you have a client, you could go in here and fill in as much information as you know about the client before you send out the questionnaire. So again, making that client experience even better. Once the questionnaire is completed, you'll see that the status is checked here. And then for your records, as well as for compliance reasons, we timestamp and archive all the questionnaires for your records. So at any time, you could go back and review that questionnaire with the client or prospect. And you could also download a custom report basically just on that questionnaire alone, or send it out again and also merge the questionnaire with an existing client. So for instance, if the client's already in CircleBlack and the data is there, but they're really still a prospect, I could have the prospect take the questionnaire and then merge that questionnaire with the client, so we don't have any duplicate entries. More importantly, if I have a prospect and I don't have a portfolio in CircleBlack or in Totum, I could add that portfolio here by starting from scratch and manually entering the portfolio for that prospect, upload a file, or select from one of the models that I've added in the model marketplace. And then if I already have that model or that portfolio loaded for that prospect, I could then propose or make recommendations here by selecting any of the models that I've added, whether it's through our asset managers that you could select here. You could see some of the top asset managers in the industry, or your own custom models. And you can make those recommendations or propose that. So you'll see that that 30, that State Street Global Advisor proposed model is within the risk band compared to the portfolio, our current portfolio today, that's taking on a lot of risk here at a 64. And then finally from here, I could generate a proposal for that meeting with that prospect and then convert them to and move them to a client underneath the client tab. In the proposals, a lot of advisors usually use that investment policy statement. It's completely customizable and white labeled with your information. You could select that individual account or multiple accounts that you've added for that prospect. The State Street Global Advisor Fund is already, our model is already loaded here. And then on the right-hand side, you could preview the IPS before exporting it to PDF for your meeting. Again, everything's white labeled and customized. So all these blue dots on the left-hand side are all the pages within the report. So you could select what pages you'd like to see show in the report, as well as do a little bit more customizations. You could also add your own disclosures and comments to the report as well before saving it and exporting it for that meeting. There's a few other features and functionality throughout the system within Totum, everything from adding your own contact information, white labeling it, proxy overrides, adding your own models. And then for compliance for larger firms, we have a full admin panel, more of a compliance dashboard to manage the firm at the corporate level. I'll stop there, and if we want to go into more detail or see more information within the Totum platform, please feel free to reach out to us and be happy to schedule a one-on-one demo with you. So I'll stop there and open it up to question and answer.
Larry, it looks like we have one question from the crowd. Can you explain what the score means, example 64 for the portfolio that you showed?
Sure. I don't have that example pull up, but I'll pull up a different example. So you'll see here that we score the risk preference and capacity. I mentioned that earlier in our call. But the score here, the 21, is a lot more meaning to it because we're scoring that based on VAR or value at risk. And what it's telling us is that there's a 1% chance that this portfolio could lose more than 21% over the next 12 months. So with VAR, we could calculate that probability at 99% compared to standard deviation. Also, if you just use standard deviation alone, there's really no scientific reasoning behind it to map it to a scale. So with VAR, using value at risk, you could use data science and factual information with that algorithm to show that this score 20 or 21 or 19 is actually that VAR score, instead of just mapping a 60-40 portfolio to a scale of 1 to 100. That's, you just plot it at a 60. If you look at those underlying holdings, it's really not that accurate. So that 60-40 portfolio based on those scores could be down to a 40 or up to a 70. So again, using VAR is a lot more accurate than using other risk metrics or risk adjusted returns.
And Larry, I know many of the CircleBlack advisors who value Totum's great logic and thinking also appreciate the distinction between risk levels and risk capacity. Would you mind spending a minute on that concept?
Yeah, the one thing that we found in the industry is that they're either, everyone's trying to merge the risk preference and risk capacity together into one score when really they are two separate metrics. There's other metrics out there such as probabilities and constraints and a few others. But when you look at that definition of risk tolerance, it's your willingness and ability to take risk. And risk preference is your willingness, right? How much are you willing to take? And that does change more often than risk capacity. Where risk capacity, we feel, because it's based more on facts than feelings, it has more of that 12-month time frame than risk preferences. And a good testament to that was the whole pandemic, right? Prior to the pandemic, during this bull market that we're still in, the risk preferences were higher than risk capacity scores. And then once the pandemic hit, we saw a big drop in risk preferences, where risk preferences were on average lower than risk capacity scores for a good 6 to 12 months. Now, of course, we've seen those come up quite a bit again, but really not to where we saw them prior to the pandemic.
Great. And it looks like we have one additional question here, Larry. Could you talk about are the Totum proposals FINRA reviewed?
They are. The Totum proposals, the investment policy statement is FINRA reviewed.
Great. Okay.
We also provide a legal memo for SEC registered advisors.
Great. Just a quick reminder, we have the ability to ask a question at the bottom footer of your screen. So we'll wait a minute here to see if there's any other questions from the crowd. Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, we are getting to the end of our session here. So I want to thank you again for joining us today. We hope that you were able to take away some valuable learnings on how Totum and CircleBlack can help drive fact-based financial wellness. We've included the contact information here on the screen. If you want to reach out to CircleBlack, you can send a note to Claudine Martin. Her information is here, cmartin@circleblack.com. We also invite everyone to discover Totum for themselves. If you would like a personalized demo, you can either reply to the follow-up communication that we'll send out shortly after the event, or send us an email at contact@totumrisk.com. So with that, I would like to thank everybody, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.